What is a book summary? What do professionals need it for? A summary is a well-organized set of fragments provided with some commentary which are helpful in solving specific problems. Making a summary means selecting useful information from a source, arranging it in a system, and summarizing it into applicable recommendations. But there are many typical mistakes in understanding what a summary really is. So it's better to start with figuring out what is not for sure. First of all, it's not retelling the text in your own words. Often you can only take some notes if you are writing it up for yourself. And sometimes, in a year or two, you may not even understand it yourself, so brief and inconsistent your summary is. Moreover, other readers will not understand it either. Secondly, summary is not an easy way to tell what a book is about. There is a big difference between a book description and its significant thesis. Only the latter makes up a summary. For instance, one can write about Aristotle and tell that Aristotle built the science of proper deduction, when the right way is to formulate the techniques and rules of syllogism which Aristotle developed. Or one can write about Stanislavski and tell that he made an essential contribution to the art of acting, when a good summary will outline Stanislavski techniques for getting more and more into the character. Thus, you need to have a task or highlight the problem that the author discovered. And besides, a summary should be better than the source, because it's more concise, has a coherent structure, and all the theses describe the problem in a more simplified way without any fluff. The more summary surpasses the source in solving a particular problem, the better the work is done. Writing a professional summary is a challenging skill. The result of this intellectual work is helpful in many ways, for readers, for you as a professional, and the professional community as a whole. Let's break down all three of them. What are the benefits for readers? The first benefit is saving time. The summary simplifies and speeds up the application of knowledge obtained from the source. You do not have to refer to the source repeatedly because the main things are already extracted and presented in the most convenient form. All the quotes are highlighted too. These fragments are well structured and easy to find. Finally, they are annotated for better understanding. The second benefit is a focus on the problem. The material is organized in the most optimal way to solve the problem. Therefore, summary becomes a tool for specialists and researchers in their work. By the way, it's not always obvious which classic work will help to solve the problem. For example, Gabriel Tard's The Laws of Imitation is suitable for those involved in PR. And Stanislavski books can and should be read by those involved in training and coaching. The third advantage for the reader is that the summary is the best teaching material. The fact is that they are usually compiled from classics, from primary sources, and the classics are a more solid educational resource than textbooks and popular non-fiction books. Now let's talk about your benefits as the author of the summary. Firstly, you develop intellectual skills. Writing a summary, you have to perform a series of complicated operations. Understand the material deeply, compare text fragments and find connections between them, divide fragments into groups. These are basic intellectual skills that aspiring authors need to acquire. Secondly, the summary gives in-depth knowledge of your field. Watch the video on learning principles. Unlike the reader, you dive deeply into the material and study the book over and over again. What is more, when annotating each fragment, you better understand the nuances and limitation of possible applications. Besides, writing a book summary helps you to connect the key concepts extracted from different books. Finally, with the help of a summary, a professional will gain a particular reputation as an expert more easily, simply by attaching his name to some prominent figures in the field, and in some fields, this impact may be essential. For the IT sphere, their solid papers would mostly be some works on logic, and the reader often thinks they haven't much to do with the current computer science research. In other fields, however, the effect is much stronger. For example, in pedagogy, teachers know their great classics very well: Comenius, Dewey, Vygotsky, Montessori, Makarenko, etc. So a well-written summary of their works will undoubtedly attract much attention from other educators. But that's not all. The summary is beneficial for the professional community too. First of all, it helps to eliminate mistakes made in retelling classical works. Usually people are not that sophisticated at the classics, so they try to comprehend. Their understanding is poor, so distortions and mistakes in retelling their works are inevitable. The older the classic is, the more distortions there will be. The summary helps to avoid as many of them as possible. That's why it preserves fragments of the original text, so that you can read it all directly. Secondly, the summary helps to distribute high-quality knowledge. Classical works were written long ago and usually in very complex language. It's a severe barrier that cuts off many readers. Dividing the classical work into small blocks and providing it with some commentary written in plain language makes it much easier to study. Finally, as a rule, fundamental problems are raised deliberately in classical works. Alas, most modern authors try to hide or smooth them over, so the summary helps to highlight and emphasize the problems that are still relevant to contemporary scientists. An explicit statement of the problems and research topics is essential for developing any field. So in this video we have discussed why summaries are worth writing and some of their benefits. But we can achieve them all only under the condition that the work has been done correctly. And how to do it we will tell you in the next video. Take care!